Although gas prices have gone down since last month, I think it'd still be hard-pressed to meet anybody out there who thinks that they're not paying enough every time they fill up. Now, where the real debate comes in is when you ask, who's to blame? Every president gets their fair share of fingers pointed at them when prices go up, and the cable networks continue on with it for some reason, despite admitting sometimes that it's not actually within this one man or woman's ability to determine how much you pay at the pump. But the truth is, speculation does go a long way in affecting the price you pay, and the even bigger truth is that lobbyists help keep it that way. So let's find out who's behind the corruption that accounts to as much as $14 in hidden premiums every time that you pay for gas. Earlier, I caught up with Fang, investigative reporter for the Republic Report. I first asked him to tell us where this $14 figure is coming from.
Well, this $14 figure comes from Bart Chilton. He's one of the commissioners at the Commodities Futures Trading Commission, the regulating body that oversees commodity speculation, including oil speculation. And he's basically said that about 25% or so of the price you pay at the pump is a premium that's basically a result of oil speculation from Wall Street speculators. So if you have a small car, you're paying almost $7 if you fill up your gas, fill up your gas tank straight to Wall Street. If you have a large car like an SUV, it can be as much as $14.
I mean, that is a pretty, hefty penny there. But so if the CFTC already can pinpoint it, right, if they can actually put a dollar figure on it, why don't they do more about it? Isn't this what they're supposed to do?
Well, this is the entire problem. Our story is about corruption. The big bank lobbyists, the speculating industry, all of these interest groups that benefit from oil speculation have an enormous lobbying game, basically. They hire hundreds of lobbyists on Capitol Hill. They pressure the CFTC. They block regulations that would empower the CFTC to take more action. They even work with their allies in Congress to decrease the funding levels to the CFTC. There's actually a great story in the New York Times about 2 years ago about how the CFTC barely has enough money to even pay for its own paper clips and for its own transportation to go up and visit New York City.
Oh, great. So the regulators that are supposed to have teeth can't even afford their own paper clips. I'd say that that's definitely a problem there. But who are, when you wrote about this today, you actually chose to pinpoint some specific lobbyists. Some of them include former lawmakers. So can you tell us some names?
Sure. Well, one name that sticks out is Richard Baker. He's a former congressman from Louisiana. Now he's a lobbyist for the hedge fund industry. Now, the Managed Funds Association is a collection of hedge funds, some of the biggest in the country, that organizes together and hires dozens and dozens of lobbyists to prevent organizations like the CFTC from taking action. Also, it attacks Congress and fights back proposals that would encourage action on clamping down on excessive speculation. There are other interest groups, for example, the CME Group, this large privately run exchange where a lot of this oil speculation takes place. They have many lobbyists. They're some of the biggest campaign contributors in the country. Rahm Emanuel, who's now the mayor of Chicago, was once on the board of the CME Group, so it's a very politically connected company. And if you look down the list, actually Senator Bernie Sanders leaked a list of some of the largest oil speculators from 2008. If you take that list and cross-reference it with some of the biggest lobbying spenders, you'll see a lot of correlation.
But I feel like, every time we have conversations like this, do we end up falling into that hole of just blaming the lobbyists and thinking that the lobbyists are all bad? I mean, what about the members of Congress? Shouldn't they take some responsibility here? It's not like if a lobbyist comes at you, then you have to listen.
Well, sure, but the way that Congress is set up, the House of Representatives under Democratic control actually passed many measures to crack down against oil speculation. The problem was always in the Senate. In 2008, a bill easily cleared the House. It went to the Senate. A majority of senators even voted to pass the measure to crack down on oil speculators. But because of the broken rules of the Senate, a minority of Republican senators and some Democrats working with oil speculation lobbyists block the proposal. So that's why we've never had any movement. Whenever you think one strong proposal moves through, the lobbyists find another place in government to block it.
And I guess another member of Congress that's going to be susceptible and influenced by the amount of money that they're throwing around. But one of the interesting things that I thought that you pointed out, too, was that, one of these trade associations actually tried to sue the CFTC over rules that they tried to put over oil speculation. And so what's, it's one thing if you're bribing political officials. What's the legal argument to say, no, you can't impose rules on us?
Well, first, the speculation industry sued and said the idea of oil speculation limits is unconstitutional. That was struck down by a federal court. Now they're filing a lawsuit that says that anytime you want to impose these types of speculative limits, and by the way, the limits that are talked about right now wouldn't go into effect until next year, and they're still very porous. They have a lot of loopholes. But these watered-down limits, they're filing a lawsuit saying that before they can be implemented, there has to be basically a cost estimate study done on every single one of them, and that would delay these regulations, which, by the way, they wouldn't go into effect until next year, until even longer. So it would push these rules down maybe even another couple of years. So there's all kinds of different strategies that these lobbyists employ, whether it's bribing lawmakers, peddling influence in front of regulators. Now they're using the judiciary to block these rules.
Unbelievable, right? And yet if you drive around, you just see people with things that say blame Obama or blame whoever's in office at the time, the one man that's president. But, it's important that taxpayers, drivers in America actually know this stuff. Lee, thanks so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you so much, Elena.